Good evening and welcome to tonight's inspiring edition of What's Your Story? I am Catherine Mwangi here at the Holiday Inn Nairobi, Two Rivers. Privileged tonight to have a conversation that is inspiring, especially if you're a young person watching. Why is the focus on the young people? I think it's rather obvious, especially if you live here in Kenya. There's a lot of noise, there's a lot of unsettlement, and I just feel, the team behind What's Your Story, we feel that young people need to be inspired by one of their own. So our guest tonight is a young man who is just all about positive impact, meaningful change. His name is Brian Mwau. He's the Business Development Coordinator of Triffic, and he will tell us what that is about, but it's a subsidiary of Centum Investment PLC. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Catherine.
You look, you're flourishing. You are flourishing in these hard times.
Absolutely. We are all redeemed to flourish in these hard times.
We are redeemed to flourish. Mumeskia, so please, if you have a young person in your life, get them to watch because he's in this really, senior responsible position for Triffic, but his journey also, he just didn't find himself there.
Correct.
It's been step by step by step by step, and that's the story we want to catalyze tonight. You're so welcome.
Thank you very much, Catherine, and I'm very happy and honored as well to be part of your show. And I'm also happy because of the impact of this story will have to, my generation and everyone who will watch. Because I know they shall draw inspiration from it.
I know that. I mean, I see, so like I tell you guys, once in a while I'm on social media and LinkedIn, of course, I play a lot around there and I see his posts. He's always like, you shifting mindsets, you're doing so many things, you're achieving so much. And you work for one of the biggest companies in this country, in this region, and you are also a student leader in university. So where do you want us to start this story?
I think we start my story back in the university.
Great.
Because that really gives a good route of where my journey started.
Right.
So I was privileged to attend Jomo Kenyatta University. Of Agriculture and Technology, and that is JKUAT Karen, the Karen campus.
Oh, see zile za hapa hivi nini? Thika Road, soft life people, soft life.
Karen campus, and I was there for a term of 3 to 4 years.
Okay.
And, that was my first experience where, I encountered people who are flourishing and people who are having, what I would say, a life you would desire to end up living, and also mindset. So I started there at this was back in 2013. Okay. And I was in a class of 12 people. Most of them were guys, I think, and 2 ladies because it was IT. Okay. And from that class, from day one, right from day one, 6 of my classmates came to school driving.
Day one?
Day one. And I was also privileged because my dad was dropping both my elder brother and I to school. Okay. So it was somewhere to start. Right. But of course, coming from Makueni County, we thought that now that our dad is able to afford to drive us to school, we thought tumefika until, or rather we've gotten there. Yeah. Until we got to JKUAT Karen and we realized actually, we are just beginning. This is just a snapshot of where God is taking us. And from my class, of course, I was very influential in my class. Yeah. And through that, they graced me the opportunity to lead them as the class representative.
When you say influential, what does that mean?
So I would listen to the students, talk their language, that is my colleagues, and help translate what they are communicating to the lecturers. Later, I was privileged. Later, there was campus elections, and one of the student leaders who was the president, was vying for the president of the institution, approached me and he told me, because of my good relationship with people, and I'm always at the student center, he will give me the privilege of, running a position in his team. And he gave me the IT representative position, which by God's grace went unopposed. Wow. So I ended up becoming an IT representative for the entire institution. Right. That gave, of course, because you are earning, you are also able to sit with the administration. You're also able to, advocate for, the request of the students. That really gave me a good exposure. And by second year, first semester, I now became the academic secretary of the school.
How old were you?
At that time, I was barely 18 years, just about to turn 19.
Wow, 18?
Yes, I was 18 years.
Where do you think these leadership traits, when did they start in your life?
I would say I've borrowed a lot, a leaf from my dad's, my parents, and more especially my dad.
Right.
So there's a part I've borrowed, a leaf I've borrowed from my dad, and there's a leaf that I've borrowed from my mom.
Okay.
My dad being, of course, he works for the disciplined forces. So discipline to him is always the first thing, and grooming, personal grooming, and time. If, for example, while I was in campus, till I was in 4th year, my report time back home was 5 o'clock. And because he had already understood that classes end at 4:30, and for you to travel from Karen to Ngong, you only need approximately 30 to 40 minutes. So he would give you an allowance of until 6 p.m. because, of course, there's maybe traffic, some few shopping he send you to buy. And, of course, being brought up by a military man again, you have to get home, wash his shirts, and make sure that also you iron as you iron yours, you iron his shirts, and even just prepare for dinner, because at that time my mom is a teacher in the village. Yeah. So my mom, the role she played was more of compassionate and being, resonate while dealing with people, understanding their backgrounds, because she's a teacher. Right. So she understands people can grow. Yes. Also, going back, immediately cleared Form 4. Yeah. My dad gifted me a very special book that I still keep to date, and that was a very small Bible. Oh, wow. That I still keep, and I say, I didn't understand why he got it. Maybe he thought I would become a pastor. Okay. Because I was very keen. Growing up, I always played keyboard, piano in church, and I was a choir member. So, of course, that's where now leadership is groomed, because as a choir member, you're there coordinating voices, you're showing people how to dance. So that's where you're managing people technically. So I would say that early growth, being groomed in church and, meeting people, that is what really geared my
amazing.
Yes.
So you can dance and sing here. So if this becomes the choir and we tell you, show us how to...
Well, now I dance in the house. At least now I know my wife and son. They won't judge me, my dance styles. But yes, I do at times.
Right.
Yes, yes.
So student leader in the university around the ICT space.
Correct. And now I became the academic secretary. And once I became the academic secretary, of course, now I sit at the executive of the school. So I started making friends. And one of my good friends was the finance secretary of the school. So that's where budget allocation for student union is allocated. Right. So we gave a higher percentage, of course, went to events, entertainment, but also a chunk went to academics. So sports was not really much, but entertainment and education and academics would get a bigger chunk of the budget allocation. During my tenure as the academic secretary and my good friend, he was doing law. And at that time, he was also working, because he had those professional papers. Right. He was working for the Ministry of Lands. So he would come up with some tasks, because he was already driving 2 cars to school. So I said, this is someone good to know. And from the onset, I said, I have to start aligning myself with this person, because just to learn, the eagerness to learn what he does, and just to know how also I can be able to drive my own car. So
how to grow.
How to grow, correct. So he groomed me, and soon he introduced me to his business. Of course, he would process a lot of papers for most of the legal firms that deal with lands. Right. So he would take that as an intern, or rather as an associate. Then he comes, he does a lot of paperwork. So I would offer myself to offer that. So one day, fortunately, I think a parent of one of the students was selling land, and they approached us because we were student leaders. Because there's that perception, student leaders, they will know a lot of people. Right. So it was a hard task, because that piece of land was going for around 100 million, and that was back in 2016. Fortunately, we got someone who was interested to buy. So we went back to the parent, and we told them that we've gotten someone who is willing to buy your piece of land, but the offer price is only 80 million Kenya shillings. You know, at times you have to trust faith. So, of course, they didn't take the deal at first, but considered weeks after, you know, struggling to release the piece of land. And we quickly went to a lawyer, signed an agreement, willing buyer, willing seller, that is willing to sell his piece of land at 80 million and is willing to buy at 100 million. So do your math. Happily, we made our first 20 million.
At 19 years old?
Yeah, this I was 19 years.
Heish.
So my friend and I, at that time we were living together in Rongai.
Okay.
The next day we moved to Runda and we started life.
From Rongai to Runda? Just
Yes,
like that?
Just like that. And I would say it was a short-term stay because we leased the property. It was a short-term stay, but that was an eye. The only significance of why I'm saying this, that this was an eye-opener for me, because now I was able to see how people live in the premium estate. I realized it's the same people, 2 legs, 2 ears, 2 eyes, 1 nose, and even they like taking walks in the morning. They are calm people. They like their privacy. So really that changed my mindset.
Yeah.
And to the onset, after a couple of, you know, months of, you know, an uncoached spending, personally, I got broke. I got broke. We had to release our vehicles then because I remember, first thing, of course, as a very young person, my friend was, I think, 22 then. As 2 young people who have money, the first thing we went for was not investments. We went to buy vehicles. So we bought a V8, there was a Prado.
You're joking?
We got drivers, we got also bodyguards, so as to feel the life. And, you know, there was no that investment mindset. And also, even our parents were shocked of what was going on, because I remember inviting my mom to come for the housewarming, and we sent a driver to go and pick her from the village to Makueni. All this time, she came asking the driver a lot of questions. Are you sure he's my son, or you are kidnapping me? And even all through the housewarming event, she believed that I was invited, maybe I was working for the owner of the home. So I was just there working. So, and even after the housewarming, we sent the driver to take her back home. And that was a defining moment for me, because of course, as a youth, once you have money and you have your freedom, at that time, you want to believe you have your freedom by that time, you do a lot of things, and I did a lot of things, which really were not the right things. I lost a track. That's where maybe I started trying out some few things.
Like what? What are these things?
Some few things that I will cover in my book.
You have to give us some of these things. So is it about like spending and just being flashy lifestyle?
No, I made a few association of friends who maybe used to drink much. We used to smoke much.
Right.
So because of that, I started as a very born-again young man. But because of just that, staying with them every time, talking to them also, I ended up tasting the alcohol.
Yes.
I ended up, you know, wanting to know what is this they smoke. But I'm grateful to God, because it was a short term.
Right.
Within less than 9 months, I was able to go to the extreme that you can think of.
Okay.
And God had his own way of getting me back.
So when you got broke is when you got back?
Yeah, when I got broke is when it was a hard lifestyle to maintain, because, you know, as a young person, that's the time you want to go out clubbing, you want to go out meet people, you want to... And when I talk about extreme, I knew not only, but also I knew the owners of the clubs in Westlands. So I was a premium member, that whether I can even come and bring my friends on credit, and the following day I do the transfer.
Hey.
So that was the kind of lifestyle.
At 19, 20?
At 19, actually, all this was at 19.
19?
All this was at 19.
And all this time, what's your dad saying? What's your military father saying?
Fortunately, this time my dad was out of the country. I think that really saved me, because he was around, and actually even till today, he don't believe that happened, because he knows how he raised us and how he groomed us. So even I'm always shy I don't talk about that much. But this is because I'm just talking out it for for inspiration.
Yes.
That, of course, there are those stages. We've seen friends who we joined university with, and they were good students,
Yes.
and maybe towards the end, they ended up maybe their ways being retracted as a result of association
It's
and
true.
who their group of people are.
It's
so this is
true.
an inspiration that
Yes.
that's not the end.
No.
Still, something can turn around.
Oh, absolutely.
So 9 months down the line, we are broke. We've resold most of our cars. We are running in big debts. Personally, I was in big, huge debts that even some of the people that had huge debts had the mercy of just telling me, Brian, we know you. You're going far. You're very young. So just now refocus and, change your association.
Wow.
And you'll become a better person.
Yeah.
So one day I woke up and I called my mom. I told my mom, maisha Runda, imenilemea, so I have to come back to the village. And when I was traveling back to the village, I remember I traveled at night because, this is someone who, when going to the village, I was used, irrespective of how young I was, I went home with a convoy with police lights and I had two security guards. Now I don't have anything to show.
You're in a matatu?
I'm in a matatu. So I went home with a matatu at night. I got home, and the following day I woke up. Of course, people in the community saw me. Others even made the impression that we told you that this money that is not, we cannot tell the source, itaisha too. And for the short time I was there, I was able to reflect back and ask myself, what was the starting point and where did I go wrong? And I realized the starting point was just before I got to university, because my life really transformed when I got to the university. And I realized before I went to the university, I was very keen with the ex-candidates program. I was very serious in church. I was born again. My spiritual life was strong.
Yeah.
And I said, that is all I got right now. And I went back to the Bible that my dad had gifted me. I started reading it. So I started the book of Matthew all through to the book of... but before that happened, one of my friends who was a frequent visitor to our Runda home, he was working for a ministry in the government. So he gave me a house. Yeah. Still a house, one in Westlands. So in the department they work in government, they have the privileges of having some houses to do work. So he gave me a house in Westlands and another house in Runda. So my core function was to take care of the house. At least the one in Westlands was a good house where it has a swimming pool, connection to internet. It was more of what I would say, an exclusive furnished apartment, but it's just for work. Yes. So I would go there, do the cleaning, take time, read the Bible, and once, of course, maybe they need to, during weekdays now I moved to the house back in Runda, which had no furniture. It was just me and my mattress on the floor. But at the end of the day, as long as I'm living in Runda, people will not see that I've really gone down. They don't understand what's going on. I still say I live in Runda. It was house number, I remember even the house number, 999, because I know now it's taken a different honor. Okay. So during that stay in between Westlands and Runda, because Westlands I was going to do work, and at least it would give me around $100 to $200 a week. And this was a lot of money for me at that time. So I started reading the book of Matthew from the first chapter to the last chapter. And by the time I was finishing the last chapter of Matthew, trust me, I was certain something has changed in my life. And I had the confidence that I can go back and start afresh. So I told him, enough of this. I need now to go back to my parents' home and start afresh. And he allowed. He told me, but anytime you need our support, you are our friend. Oh, wow. We know your potential. Just feel free to reach out. And he was a gracious man. He gave me even fare to go back to the village. I went back to the village again, stayed there for a couple of days. Then my brother now, elder brother, called me. He told me, Brian, you will not make it in life by staying in the village. Yes. You have to come back to Nairobi. I had to swallow my pride and come back and start living with my brother. And for almost 2 years, 2 years I slept in his living room. And during this time, when I came back to Nairobi, I was very keen to make sure that my spiritual life has been reignited. So I joined Winners Chapel International, Nairobi, It's in Likoni Road. And I started there. I went for Bible school. I graduated top of the class.
Went for OFB?
Yeah, I went for OFB.
Okay.
I did all the level. I started BCC. I was the best in the class. I went for LCC. I was the best in the class. On top of that, I was the class coordinator. Of course, these things made, there are small milestones that you achieve, and they give you they keep you motivated.
Yes.
And I also attended the LDC. That one I did much, much later. But during this time, when I was winners, I identified a family.
Okay.
And this family to me was a very unique family.
In what way?
The dad was a well-groomed man. He had 2 sons and 1 daughter. Or rather, he has 2 sons and 1 daughter. He's always groomed the same way the sons are groomed. The wife is also well-kept. The daughter is well-kept. So I said, you know what? This is how I envision myself. Living.
Yes.
10, 20 years from now.
Okay.
So that became one of my long-term goals. Because in growth, you need to have short-term and then long-term.
Yes.
Then I said, this is one of my long-term goals. So I give myself maybe 10, 15 years. This is where I want to be. And I kept watching him, how he serves. He's still an usher. He's very senior. He's a CEO of one of the leading institutions in Africa. And he still serves as an usher in church. So I said one day, let me go and hear out what is their story. So I went to the son, because we were sharing a Bible school's church class. So the son told me, this is not how we started as a family. As far as I'm concerned, there's some bit of life where things were not going as expected, but we did a significant thing. And he gave me one key. Told me we prayed and we fasted.
Right.
That was a key. And I was keen to know how many days did they pray and fast, because if it's praying and fasting, we were fasting every Wednesday in church. So I wanted to know how long did they fast. So he gave me the details. It was 3 days. So for me, that was a hard one for me. And I said, this is a hard task for me. And at the end of my story, you'll get to see how that intermarries even in the corporate world, because it takes a lot of discipline. So month 1, I didn't get a job. This time I was still jobless. Month 2, I didn't get a job. Month 3, I didn't get a job. And I realized I have to do what this guy told me. On that day is when I got inspiration. And I had the voice very clear that I should go and meet my good mentor, the late Dr. Kirubi. And the following morning, I woke up, I went to him. And that was now the genesis of my journey to Centum Investments.
So you take your sugarless coffee.
Thank you very much.
We take a break.
Yeah.
We get to hear what happened when he met the late business magnate, Dr. Kirubi. And also, I hope, like me, you're gleaning, some of those, I like to call them purpose posts, where whomever it is you're hanging around, you just become like them automatically.
Correct.
And at times you also get the privilege and the opportunity to meet people who will help you, like that gentleman in Westlands who just said, come use my space and do your thing. So at times, I think, in as much as there's this pulling you down, there's other people also who want to lift you up. But you had the story, in case you didn't, we'll recap in part 2, right after the break.
I remember about my experience in Runda. I had that picture. I have the exact picture of how Runda looks like and how living in Runda feels like. So that now becomes my end goal. I already know where, when I grow up, or rather as I grow up in this, I know where, it might not be Runda really, but I know where I want my family to be.
Welcome back. It's What's Your Story? I'm Catherine Mwangi. We're here at the Holiday Inn Nairobi 2 Rivers. Again, grateful to the management for giving us the opportunity to use this beautiful, beautiful meeting space to bring you this story. We have Brian Mwau. He is the Business Development Coordinator with Triffic. We'll get to know what that is. And also his milestones now in corporate. So you've heard about his soft life. He moved from Rongai to Runda. It sounds good when we say Rongai to Runda. Driving V8s and Mercedeses and convoys at only 19. And then, after a 3-day prayer and fasting whilst reading a Miles Munro book, he knew what is the next step. He had a voice, and the voice said,
I should go to meet Dr. Chris Kirubi, the late.
Yeah.
And I showed up.
How did you meet him?
It
Was he in your circles?
No, he wasn't.
Okay.
I didn't. The only thing I knew, and I came to realize much, much later, was when my elder brother finished school, my dad was offering him advice on what course he should go and do in the university. And this was back in, and this time I was preparing to go to my Form 4.
Okay.
So I had him tell him, you need to go and do IT, because there's one man, I've heard him called Dr. Chris Kirubi. He has a company called Centum that is employed young people. So that was the inspiration. It was meant to be my brother's inspiration.
Yes.
But somehow, some way, it also worked for me.
Yes.
I called my friend. I told him, tomorrow, I want to go to see this great man. And my friend asked me, Brian, are you serious? So I said, I will not give him much detail of how I encountered that. I just want to see if he wants to take me or not. And he had a car. So I told him, just please, tomorrow, you come prepared. I have everything planned.
Yeah.
I already have an appointment. You just come.
Did you have one?
No, I didn't. And so they asked me, do you have an appointment? I told them no. So who do we tell him you are? I told them, just tell him it's his friend, Mwau, Brian.
Yeah.
So I introduced myself as his friend. And these guys, I think Holy Spirit intimidated them in a way. And they said, okay. So he wanted to make a phone call in the house to confirm whether, you know, Mzee is expecting someone.
Yes.
But as he was going to make that phone call, I knew if he makes that phone call, I'm locked out. So I said, please, I said a short prayer, and I said, if he does this, like the objective of the day has not been met.
Yeah.
And fortunately, he just turned back and came back and asked me again, you said your name is? I told him my name is Mwau. And I'm here to see my good friend. And he said, okay, he's in a meeting, but I will open for you, but you park there. Till today, that guard is my friend. And he told me to park, and once we parked, my friend came, opened for me the door. He took my blazer, he gave it to me, I wore. And then, fortunately, we met. I met the late Dr. Chris Kirubi.
Are you serious?
There. Yes.
So when you met him, what is this you're telling him? Because obviously he wasn't expecting you, he doesn't know you.
So he asked me, who are you? And I told him, sir, my name is Brian Mwau, and I'm here to see you, sir. So, but you see, do you have an appointment? I told him, no, sir. I was just, I had errands in town. I'm from Makueni County. And once I was done with my errands, I said, before I go home, I retire, I just come visit you. Oh, that's good. That's very kind of you. So allow me to see off my good friends here from Coca-Cola. They'd come to visit me. And, you know.
You're even talking like him.
Yeah. After that, I'll come see you. And at that time, I felt, actually, he's introduced me to important people already. And I said, you know, this is it. And I said, you know, I have to make sure that I'm as honest as possible from the onset. There's no games. I'll be very straight to the objective. And he came back and he asked me, so tell me who you are. I told him I'm Brian Mwau. I've come from Makueni County. For the longest time, you've been my mentor on Twitter. And I said, you know, today is the day that I have to meet my mentor in person. And I'm here. He said, oh, so you follow me on Twitter? Says, yes, I have been a faithful follower of you. So you know about me. I told him, of course, you don't. He told me, you look like a good person. So, of course, he asked me some personal questions. Who are your parents? Where do they work? What course have you done? Which university? And he told me, you seem to be a good man to keep. I'll give you my business card. Then you call me sometime next week. Then we can see what we can do together. Wow. And I told him, Zame, I'm just here to come visit you and first to say hello. And it was, I think that act of just someone waking up and showing up, it really pushed him to, you know, taking me in. And he gave me his contact, and we started the journey. And this was, that journey, of course, didn't translate to a job immediately. Right. But I kept that good relationship. I would call, he would call. During that time, of course, I did an application to Centum through him as well. And I pitched a business idea to him, and he introduced me to James Nicole then, who is MD of Tribus. And we started on a journey. They took me in as an intern, a short probation period of 3 months. And since then, now I joined Centum. This was in around 2019, 4 years ago. So I joined as just what I would say a beginner.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was happy because now this is what I desired and it's come true.
Yes.
But also I envision it as an opportunity for gradual growth. Yes. But remember about my experience in Runda? I had that picture. I have the exact picture of how Runda looks like and how living in Runda feels like. So that now becomes my end goal. I already know where, when I grow up, or rather as I grow up in this, I know where, it might not be Runda really, but I know where I want my family to be. I know where I want the kind of environment my children should grow in, the kind of friends they should have. And also I'm quite conversant with what are the temptations they might incur and what are those behavioral, things that I can see them do and realize here, there's either bad company, bad influence, and I can be able to amend.
Ooh.
Yes.
So, and that's why I think maybe your dad gave you the Bible.
Yes.
And you're wondering what gift is this?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Like you, the way now you're envisioning your family and everything.
Yeah.
So, which is a good thing. But let's go back to now. At Centum, you have had quite the number of milestones, at Jiri, there's where you are now, which will come to Traffic, but even the MasterCard Foundation grant, you're now the brand ambassador for Centum PLC. Correct. So it's like everywhere you go, it's just leadership magnetizes you, like it's just leadership positions.
Yeah, everything I do, it starts with passion.
Right.
Because if I'm not passionate about what I'm doing, then I don't take it. I turn down the offer because at times you'll need passion to wake up early in the morning. You'll need to have passion to stay up late in the night. You need to like what you do. So once I started my journey in Centum, I knew what I would do. And trust you me, in Centum, there are so many people now you can watch and learn from.
Okay.
So I was very keen to know how many subsidiaries that Centum has, who are the MDs, do they have families, how do their families look like? And you see that is information you can get open source, You just have a little research. Have they done interviews? So I started baptizing myself and watching our group CEO's interviews. All of them, since he started his journey story as an intern, I said, I can relate to this story. I went to the Ken Bai's story also as how he joined Centum, his growth. I watched. I went to Pius's, Moshiru's, that is MD Nabo, all his interviews. I've watched all of them. So every time, actually now I'm even repeating some of them that maybe I feel, because I've watched again and again and again.
Because there's always something to learn.
Yes, and I said also again, outside Centum, there are those people that I would want to watch. So I watch, I go and Google. So this time we're starting Jiri, and this is a program to help connect employers to employees. And I wanted to know, are there people who have done startups like this? How was their journey as technology? I always envision myself and see myself as a leader, because you see, leadership is not a name or a position. It's a personal attribute, that how you see yourself. So I know if I see myself as a leader, first, someone else will see me as a leader. And I always start my day with 2 questions. What am I doing to improve myself? And then secondly, what can I do to improve the well-being of others?
Yes.
So those 2 things have been the questions I ask myself every day. So I have time that I've dedicated for personal growth. Every time as my family goes to bed, maybe at midnight, I have maybe 1 or 2 hours before, because even now, like I have a young son.
Yes.
So as I'm waiting for him to sleep, so I have some little time where I can listen to a few podcasts, read a few books. And early in the morning, of course, when I wake up at 5, before I used to wake up at 4, but now normally I wake up between 4:30 and 5. I will start my day very well. I'll go to do some exercises. Then after that, I will, read the Bible. take time and meditate,
Yes.
look my emails, my previous emails, respond all my emails in the morning. So it's just a pattern that I learned. And of course, also that pattern, I had one of the CEOs that is my mentors mention that is his pattern. So he said, if this is his pattern, then I should not be struggling waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yes.
I will just be consistent with this pattern.
Yes.
And we launched, and by God's grace, MasterCard Foundation came, and they were more than willing to support the program to amplify what we had achieved, in small scale, and amplify it. And they gave us, good capital as a grant, in form of grant. And through that, we were able to have a great growth of, opening 10 Jiri centers across the country, which are running now. And we've had really great growth because one of our best performing counties last year alone trained 5,000 people on digital skills. And most of these people, a good percentage of these people have gotten jobs. Others have been absorbed by the county. We've partnered with the county governments. So, of course, this also gave me a lot of opportunity to interact with the leadership at different levels. Politically, because now I had good business mentorship. Now, even on the political world, you have to understand how politics merge together with business.
Yes.
To bring, that economic growth. So I was able to, I've been able to interact with many governors in this country.
Including the president.
Including the president. Even I've met the president at least. And I've not just met president in the streets by God's grace. We've met, the first time I met His Excellency President William Ruto was in a boardroom. And I was presenting to him. And whatever I was presenting to him was approved and passed. So I have 3 types of goal. I have a short-term goal, mid-term goal, and what I would call them to-do tasks, which are maybe weekly. So before I'm starting a week, I ask myself, what do I want to achieve this week? What sort of book do I want to read this week or this month? Those are just mid-term to-do tasks. Then I have short-term goals. Short-term goals, I set them annually. So I ask myself, today is January 2024. Where do I want to see myself January 2025, a time like this one next year? Of course, and I have that mindset that has been really emphasized in my mindset by my bishop. He says, "Your tomorrow shall never be less of your today." So you have to think ahead. And then I have long-term goals, which now range from 5 years to 10 years.
Yes.
I have even my 20. If I come here with my diary, I'll show you my 20 years goal, where I want to be at that specific time.
Yes.
And I believe I'll be there.
So, in a very basic way, a Jiri, because I feel like a lot of young people watching need to know what that is and take advantage of it. I know what it is, but I need you to explain how young people can benefit off of a Jiri.
So a Jiri is an online platform where you can sign up as a young person, as an employee. This is an employee, someone who is looking for job opportunities. So you can sign up, create your digital profile. You go put your name, what are your credentials, what school have you gone to, what your skills and what your expertise is. Market yourself. But besides that, also what we are doing is we realized the main cause of job unemployment in our country is actually mismatch. What you learn in school is not what the employer is looking for. So we've come up with a skilling program, which now really was the inspiration of us opening the Jiri centers. So what we do is we've engaged numerous partners who already have curriculums of what employers are looking for. What are those go-to soft skills? And we send these partners across all our 10 Jiri centers to go and train these students. Could be computer skills, could be soft skills, communications, marketing, branding, and all that. Even financial management, because I don't want the youth to make the mistakes I made when I was 19. Then we have, on top of that, also we've also featured the art. So we have free recording music studios, free recording podcast studios. Actually, if I play you some of the songs that have been produced in some of the Jiri centers, one of the best songs that I've ever had. And on top of that, we also lobby in partnerships with top artists in the country, and encouraging that collaboration of, you know, maybe trying to partner with these upcoming artists so that they can have good music as well. Wow. And they can grow.
Okay, so it's ajiri.com.
It's Jiri. So to sign up is ajiri.com, AJIRY.com, and then you sign up. Okay. And it's a free platform.
Yes.
Yeah, anyone can be able to access. Yes.
So for young people watching you and you know, just seeing how you pulled yourself out of these wrong associations, you found your way back from when you're 19 to now, and all of these things you've done, you know, even just the courage to go to someone's home and say, I'm here, I've come. Yeah. Gosh. So that's not encouraged. In this day and age, they'll just like shoot you from the gate. But anyway, you had favor go before you.
Yes.
So what would you tell the young people, especially now, who look around and they feel there's no opportunity? You know, there's complaints on social media, the jobs are going to the old people, everyone wants the government to help them. And I've always maintained that we should all stop saying the government needs to help us. We would rather look for elsewhere, but not the government. So if you go in with that mentality, but you need to look over there and just speak to them.
So my advice to the youth, my fellow youth, brothers and sisters, would be, number one, you need to have a mindset shift from someone who is looking for opportunities, because the more you keep looking, the more they keep disappearing, to someone who is looking forward to create. So you offer yourself as a servant. You look for opportunities to serve, because out of that service is where now you'll actually be able to identify the opportunity, or even be privileged for other people to identify opportunities for you that you can tap into and be able to grow. Then secondly, consistency. Consistency is very key, because success in any area of life, it's gradual. So you have to admit and start somewhere. Back when I was 19 years, I hit I hit a high level of life and I came down. But what kept me going is that, convincing that I had to convince myself that you have to start again. Because once you start, starting is always the hard thing. So if it's a business idea, if it's a book that you need to start writing, just start. And as you start, automatically now you've moved your mind to a productive stage, or rather a productive phase, where now you'll start thinking, you'll start doing what is meant to be done. Then thirdly is discipline. Everything is about discipline. Success in life is a pattern. So you have to be disciplined in your sleep. You need to be disciplined in what you read. You need to be disciplined in the company you keep. You need to be disciplined even in how you dress. Everything in life revolves around dressing. And what should have been my point one, regardless of, your religion, you need to have a sound spiritual background, because that draws you back to purpose. So those would be my 4 things, takeaways.
I really, really like them. I do, especially the first one, look for opportunities to serve.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in that opportunity to serve, there's always, you don't know who's watching. That'd be like, there's something there that I can grow. Correct. So look for opportunities to serve and not wallow in, misery. And yes, there's space for misery. And then when that wave goes, come back to, where can I serve today?
Correct.
I love that. I love that.
Yes.
And you're married with 1 child.
Yes, I'm married. I'm married to one beautiful lady, and God has blessed us with one. So far, we have 1 son. Of course, there's opportunity for growth,
yes.
But now God has blessed us with our son. Is called Taifa.
Oh, Taifa,
yes,
nation.
Taifa, yes.
Ish. I like that. Yes. And before long, you were back in Runda.
And before long, yes, I'm back in Runda. I'm on my journey there. So now thinking about how we can build a nation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So humility.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm so glad you came.
Asante
I'm still so glad you came, and we celebrate your milestones this far. I didn't know about your life at 18, 19. I could never have imagined in my wildest dreams that you used to roll in the money back then.
Yeah, once I get to 35 years, my objective is I want to document a book I still have those photos. You know, when you tell someone maybe one time you used to drink and smoke and do some funny things, they might not take it seriously. But thank God I have all those files on my Snapchat and all that. So I'll be documenting. If I state this was what I was going through, I put a photo there. This is when I was slightly depressed and I didn't know what to do. Put a photo there so that our youth can know what are some of the mistakes that you can do in your 20s. And what do you do? What do you need to do to get out of them? So I'm in the process of writing a book.
So there's evidence.
There's evidence.
Thanks for coming tonight. I'm so grateful you came.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It was a great honor.
Awesome. And I'm glad you watched. Okay. So we say we don't have jobs in Kenya, etc. But first, go to ajiri.com. Put up your digital profile. There's employers there who will see it. Brian, how can they reach you, by the way, if someone wants to, even you having to mentor them?
Absolutely. Actually, I have a mentorship goals group that currently this year we have a team of 40 that I'm directly mentoring.
Awesome.
And I have some of my mentees that I'm always proud of. One is Benihino Lubengo.
Oh.
He's doing some great work.
Yes.
He actually, with the first time I met Benny, he was in Form 4. He was just about to go do his papers. So he just showed up in the office and he told me, Brian, I'm called Benihino Lubengo. I've come to see you. And I'm still a Form 4 student. He didn't have much to say, and we started a journey there. So I have a Generation Mentees group, and to find me, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I use my same name, Brian Mwau. On my Instagram, I use my same name, but now it has Baba Taifa, and Facebook as well. And yeah, even on email, you can send me an email at brianmwau@gmail.com. I'll be happy to respond.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you again. So yes, reach out. We do this show, all of you DM me, I want this, I want that. The reason we have them here is also that they are accessible to you and available in case you need to just have those one-on-one conversations with someone who's within your age group or maybe someone who's already going somewhere that you want to go. So do not hesitate to reach out. On our end, we say thank you for tuning in tonight, coming to you right here from Holiday Inn, Nairobi to Rivers. Thank you once again to the management for allowing us to do What's Your Story from here. One day, actually, we should perhaps do the story of Holiday Inn. Who knows? Who knows? So until next week, if you want to join our community, we have a What's Your Story community. Just let me know. That one you DM me on Facebook. Then I'll send you the link how you can join. It's also a mentorship group where we have coaches and mentors and linking them up to those who feel they need to be guided in one way or the other. Until next week, have a good night.
Discover love's essence at Holiday Inn Nairobi, 2 Rivers Mall these Valentines. Introducing our exclusive Savor the Flavor of Love package, a symphony of romance. Enjoy a romantic dining experience, a complimentary night stay, and extend the enchantment with a leisurely late checkout. Book now at reservations at holidayinnairobi.com or call 0709 264 000. Make these Valentines a memory to cherish at Holiday Inn.